The Site Plan Review Technical Advisory Committee for November 8th to order. First up, we have 184 Walker Bungalow and 27 Shaw Road, lot line revision.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of Technical Advisory Committee. John Shagan from Abbott Engineering, representing Brian Nesty and Brady Bird, the owners of 184 Walker Bungalow Road. So the plan you have before you shows a minor lot line adjustment with the abutter, Austin Repair and Renovation, LLC. They just completed a subdivision of that parcel that had frontage on Shaw and Walker Bungalow Road. This first plan shows the area of conveyance or proposed conveyance. It's a strip of land to the west of the existing lot, about 26 feet wide from north to south. It runs away from Shaw Road and then is coincident with a drainage easement that was just created on the 27 Shaw Road lot. The purpose of the adjustment is that the applicant will be looking to do some additions, and this will give them a better rear setback. But that's not being proposed at this time. Right now, it's just a lot line relocation. The second sheet is a plan that was prepared, I believe, for the subdivision, and it shows some drainage features that mentioned easement that the new property line will be coincident with. If you look, though, at the end of the easement as it approaches Shaw Road, it takes an angle to go around a proposed drainage facility. If you go back to the lot line relocation plan, I've carved out that area. Other way. Yeah, I show an easement for this drainage. It'll actually be a reservation. So when the 26-foot wide piece of property is conveyed, it'll be conveyed with a reservation that will allow this drainage to occur in that area. And the last sheet is the recently approved subdivision plan for the Austin Repair and Renovation LLC property, where they had frontage on Shaw and Walker Bungalow, and they cut off the Walker Bungalow frontage. That's pretty much the whole project. The reason we're here, we're looking to move it along, get any feedback so we can file for TAC approval at the next deadline and get a recommendation for planning board. Any questions? I'd be glad to answer.
Any questions or comments from members of TAC?
How does that area get drained, the little detention area? What's this CO?
In the middle of this.
Something outlet. I know.
It looks like there's a
Origin? I don't know.
catch basin across the street that probably is where that goes to, I would imagine. It doesn't really show here, but I assume that was a part of the review of that stormwater plan.
All right, so I just want to be clear, we need to look at this and make sure that it's going to be functional for both lots when we're done, so it might need reciprocal drainage easement somehow. But we'll look at it between now and then, okay?
Yep. I'll get the answer to that question.
And the maintenance of these drainage areas, basins, or whatever you call them, new stormwater basins, is that, well, one of them is clearly, they're both on properties, but you said there's going to be easements? They're just going to be maintained by the property owners and underneath them?
That would be my understanding. So this plan that you see here, this C1 plan, which is from, I believe, the subdivision process, proposed this drainage facility in the southeast corner of the lot. So if you're going to convey that, some of that property to the abutter, then you want to reserve the right to do that.
Right. That's what they're doing.
That's what they're doing.
And there's going to be language about maintenance, or no?
That's a good question. I would imagine if this is constructed for that development on the Shaw Lane property, then they would be responsible for the maintenance and not the grantee who's purchasing it.
Right.
But as David said, there probably makes sense to work out some reciprocal easements because there is going to be some development on the Walker Bungalow lot. That's where the water's going to flow, so. David made a good point.
John, is there any ability for those drainage, they're pipes, I'm guessing, right, in the vertical above, connecting the two blue areas? Those are pipes below the surface, right? The PD?
Yes.
Is there any way they can be relocated further towards whatever direction the right is into the transfer area? So they're less in the middle of a future lot. I see you've got a proposed driveway, a second
So-
driveway.
If you go back a plan,
Yeah,
they're actually going to be on the new lot line. So
correct. They're on, actually, they're on 22318, right?
Yes, they're on 22318, but the proposal is to move the 22319 lot line over
Yeah. To meet the 18, right?
to,
Go
it's
into
moving over 26 feet. So the
Correct.
new lot line will be right along that easement.
Right, I see that. But the bottom third is being reserved for a future drainage easement for the pond, right?
Yeah.
So a third of that 26-foot section is already being used permanently for drainage, provided there isn't some new easement in the future to move it. Is there no way those pipes could be more over to the right? And I'll tell you why I ask, if it isn't obvious. It looks like, and I've heard the owner of the property is wanting to reserve enough real estate here to split this lot potentially in the future. That's at least what I was understanding, and I see a second driveway being proposed on Shaw Road to currently one house that sits almost in the middle of the new lot. It would make sense to me in planning this thing, if somebody was to ever do another lot here, unless that house is junk, which I have no understanding of what that house looks like, and it probably isn't, that sits on Shaw Road on that lot, it would be nice if the drainage pipes, if the driveway could swing to the right, closer to the proposed pond, in order to potentially site another house in the upper right, rather than tear this down and build two houses. Does that make any sense?
Sure.
Right now, those pipes are almost in the middle of the developable area of the lot that doesn't yet exist next to those pipes. And if the pipes could be put more into the transfer area of the 26 feet to get them out of the way, there'd just be a little more room to work in for a future house, should there be one. I mean, isn't that why there's a second driveway?
So I'm here representing 184 Walker Bungalow Road. They
Yeah.
want to buy some land to expand their backyard.
Oh, they're the one to the
Not
right?
represent Austin. I mean, I represent, they've authorized me to speak, but I'm not saying anything about the future of that lot. I didn't design this.
Oh, you didn't design the second driveway or any of this drainage? Okay.
Well, it was designed with, my understanding is that was a part of.
You did it? Okay. Do you have something to say? Okay. Maybe. All right. Well, that's food for thought
Yep.
for both parties.
Yeah. I think, though, there is, if I just look at this, there's a corner of the lot that's low where this detention, I'm assuming, facility is, and it usually has to have a certain volume, so that might have dictated some of this.
Well, I'm not actually suggesting that drainage system be redesigned, other than maybe those pipes move further to the right. That's all I was saying. So there's a better building envelope to potentially save this house from going into a dumpster, simply to put two houses on one lot. If there were two houses on one lot and that house was worth saving, not throwing away, maybe it could fit in the back right. But those pipes are definitely going to be right up against the house. If not in it, should it ever exist up in there, anyway.
I think you'd probably have to, if you shifted the pipe,
Yeah.
you'd have to shift over the pond, so you might end up in the same place.
But
anyway.
Yeah.
I can let
I didn't realize who you're representing.
There's 3 different engineers on these plans.
All right, any other
Well,
comments?
this is talking about easements, and my assumption is that easement that's shown on the subdivision plan that was recently approved and recorded, the location of that easement was vetted here through the process. If you go to the last page, that shows a recently.
Jones and Beach plan?
Yeah,
Yeah.
recently approved
Yep,
with an easement.
yep.
I think that's why we're here.
Well, it looks like the
Back
paved drives
because
may be already there.
A lot line relocation wouldn't have to come here except if it has an easement. What's that?
It looks like on the Jones and Beach plan, there's already 2 curb cuts there. I didn't go back and look at that. You shifted it in whoever did the second plan, yours. It's moved. Is this yours or whose? Oh, it's Eric's. So it's a different shape.
Right, looks like there's 2 driveways now.
Yeah, there are, but it's modified.
All right, any other comments? Mr. McCourt?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. John, Suzanne Woodland and I, Deputy City Attorney, Deputy City Manager, we did a lot of legal research prior to the Sagamore Sewer Project, the commencement of that project, about the city's legal interest in Shaw Road and Walker Bungalow Road. I note on your plan that each are depicted as private roads, and we would not agree with that assessment. The city asserts prescriptive rights in each of those right-of-ways, which I would think that your clients would probably want to agree with, that it's public, not private, because the city plows those roads and does trash pickup and provides water to the properties through those roads, and et cetera. So I can provide you with a memo that I did about 1.5 years ago about Shaw Road, and I think there's a similar one out there for Walker Bungalow Road. But I would ask that the notation either be changed to indicate that those are public roads, or if you don't agree, that's we don't need to fight about it. It doesn't really matter for your purposes, but just remove the reference to indicating that it's private. That would be my request.
I don't think that's a problem. You're not disputing the fee interest.
Not
Goes with
disputing the fee
law.
interest.
And you'll provide me with a note as to the.
Yeah, here's my memo if you care to have it. Do you want?
Absolutely. I don't think I've seen it.
But But I could provide, if you'd like a sample note, I could provide some language to you as well.
And did you mention note 8 and 9 on
Yeah, it was note 8 and 9 that I think were
On the
your
subdivision
plan?
plan?
Yep.
on your plan, on the lot line relocation plan, that indicate that those are private.
Yeah, I don't know what was talked about in the recently approved subdivision.
Yeah, I wasn't involved in that at all.
You know that just the word private is shown on both roads.
I do know that, and had I known about it, I would have had this conversation at that time, but, you know.
No worries, no worries.
Just because we made a mistake before doesn't mean I have to make it again, right?
Nobody's saying it's a mistake. Yeah, so uninterrupted use for 20 years prior to 1968. Yep,
Yep.
okay.
And
You got
that's
it.
our position, so
Mhm.
that's all.
The note would be fine, you don't need to show the extent of that, per se.
I'm sorry?
A note to that effect would be appropriate.
Yeah.
You're not trying to define a certain width or anything, are you?
We don't, yeah, I don't think we need to get into that at this point, but.
Yep.
All right, you all set on that? Any other comments from TAC or John, do you have any other questions?
Nope, I don't think so. No.
We don't take public comment. Are you commenting on the plan or what?
Well, I sort of represent a potential buyer and also the seller of that property, so I do have a couple questions regarding the legal aspects and also maybe some clarification. So, public
You
road.
have to come up to the mic.
Happy to.
Introduce yourself.
Eric Weinrib, Altus Engineering, and in just understanding the public road, does this mean that it's a easement right away and that the property line's still at the center of the roadway?
Yes, that is
And
my
that,
position.
okay, and that the setback is from that property line still? It's from the property
Good
line.
question. That's a good question. I'd have to think about that more.
Setback for what, a structure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so to answer your question regarding the future, is that when you look at this and after the easement and the sale of that lot line adjustment, it leaves just over
Yeah, you got
200 feet, enough for frontage for two lots, and you couldn't keep two houses on one lot because that's positioned right in the middle, that existing house. So to subdivide, you actually would need, or you would have low value of a major house in the middle and then a house on the side. So that's why, and the house really doesn't have significant value for
That's
where
the
it
most
is.
important thing.
And for where it is.
And I only say that because if it had a significant value, only an appraiser could evaluate the trade-off of tearing it down to have two better lots than one good lot and one less good lot with a new house on it, maybe needing zoning relief to get there. But that was the point I was trying to make. If the house,
It's clearly the highest and best value. If it were to be subdivided, would be tearing down that house and have two new homes.
okay.
Think about words. Thank you.
All right, are you all set for
Yes,
what you
thank you.
need? Okay, thank you. Next up, we have 361 Islington Street for site plan review.
Ready?
Ready.
Eric Weinrib with Altus Engineering. I have Jeff Dwyer, who's going to be operating on Good to Be Needed LLC at 361 Islington Street. I also have in back, if there's any questions, the owner of the property, Mike Labrie of Bluestone Properties. We've been in the permitting process multiple times for multiple different uses on the property. And last month, we went through zoning, got the multiple zoning variances to allow the project to proceed to TAC and the planning board review phases. What we're proposing to do is keep the existing former Getty station, the canopy, do 2 small additions, one off the side and one to the rear, and convert the existing garage to a bagel shop. And what we've done with, well, I'll start off with, there's a pretty significant oak tree behind the building on the property. It's about between a 30 and 48-inch diameter tree. And in our original design, we were putting a retaining wall right up along that back wall and taking down the tree. Heard a lot of public comment at the meeting that they wanted to see the tree preserved. So I reached out to Chris Camp, an arborist with Piscataqua Landscaping, in hopes of him telling me that the tree was distressed and being in the pavement, and that's exactly what he did not tell me. So what he suggested is that we tried to keep 6 to 8 feet of green space around the tree, and that resulted in what I'll say a little bit of a funky design of traffic going around the building, and that's really one of the primary reasons what I want to flesh out here today. But before I get into that, there's a sewer line that runs behind the building, servicing the buildings to the west of the site. I don't know if it's 2 properties or 1 property, Dave, that sewer line?
I believe it's all 3 properties between
properties.
Salem and Cabot. All of them are tied into it,
And so
including the gas station.
the gas station, I think, has a separate line. It's what at least shows up on some of our record drawings. So one of the things that Chris said is, well, it's probably, that tree's probably getting some nutrients from that existing sewer pipe. So the last thing I want to do is put a new sewer line through there and replace it and dig up all the root structure. So we really want to minimize our excavation in that area. And then over the weekend, I started thinking about the Islington Street project and the plans that we have from 2017, which were draft plans, and then I realized online that there are actually full construction drawings and been bid, and I don't know when that project's starting. Spring?
Starting in March.
Spring.
It'll be going on all summer.
And so you have new sewer on that project.
Yep, that'll be the first thing going in.
Will those houses be connected to that?
They are getting stubs, I believe.
They're getting stubs. So we could keep that pipe in service until they decided to do otherwise, and we might have the opportunity, instead of coming out to Cabot Street with our sewer, to come out to Islington Street if the grades work. Is that reasonable to say, or?
I get, yes, it is reasonable, but it's not the best solution, I think.
Okay. Well, go to the next sheet. What we're proposing at this point is to come out of the new building with a 1,000-gallon grease trap and connect to the existing sewer pipe that we have
That may or may not be there.
that may or may not be there. And if it's not there, we put in a new pipe. If it is there, then we continue. But it does appear that the existing sewer that services the properties to the west are not going to be impacted by the new building foundation. We'll need a new water service, so we'll cap the existing service in Cabot Street, which is almost right in line with where my catch basin is anyway, and then put a new domestic water service in, new gas, new underground telephone, electric. And we moved the driveway further down the slope, right next to the existing driveway to the north of the site. And this allowed us a couple more spaces, a little more green space, but we have just a narrow area going around the back of the building into the area around the tree. So, looking for your feedback and thoughts on this.
What is the area going around behind the building? Is that for trash?
It's going to be, we have on the, well, if someone wants to come into the site on that side, it gives them the ability to do that. We have trash, and that's only going to be totes, which is on the left side of the building. And, they're not going to be having tractor trailers, obviously, for the facility, but the loading will be in back, so they would park on the site and then loop around. And I have, on my last two sheets, turning templates showing that we do get around the building.
Eric, you may have said it, but did you try, and if you did, what was wrong with it, going the opposite direction? Where you could have a two-way going into the easement area off of Islington Street, and then have a one-way exit only behind the building, and a two-way as you've got it on Cabot, with a one-way behind the building, but go the sort of natural way, which is the opposite.
So-
Did that not work?
We have two things on the left side of the property. We have parking easement for the abutting property.
Right.
And we also have an access right-of-way there.
So is that only one way in, no exit? How do,
That's our proposal for our stuff, but
but the other people come out,
the other
right?
people can still leave that way.
And you don't have a cross easement to use their exit?
We do have a cross easement for that land because we own the land.
Okay.
So it's not a cross
So this
easement.
could be a two-way.
It could be, but I wouldn't recommend for commercial traffic to exit onto Islington Street when we have an opportunity for them to exit onto a lesser travel road, Cabot, and then come onto Islington Street that's in a signalized intersection.
So who's actually going to come out of this parking lot on the right and go around the building to come out on Islington when they're out on Cabot with a light, a signal to turn? Is it really probable that you're going to see any significant volume coming out on Islington that already isn't coming out because of the cross easements?
We're not going to have anyone coming out.
Well, you'll have the abutters coming out, just
Yeah,
not commercial.
but
Yeah.
we're not. That's traffic that's already there that's very limited.
Okay. I think it's great you guys adjusted the wall and worked around that tree.
Well, I need your guidance on supporting that as well.
I will
because
support
it's not
that.
conventional.
I think, well, so I had a suggestion, as you would imagine. I see your turning template, and it's a driver, right? It's your retaining wall and the way you've laid it out, and right now, the trash truck or something, whatever's driving around there appears to jump the curb, near the tree. It just seems to me, that probably is a 150-year-old tree. It's big. We all know that. And the good news is it's got a deep taproot, so it'll take a lot of abuse when you're cutting in a new road and curbing.
Well, we're going to probably do minimal.
I hope you do as shallow excavation as you can, but I think what you're doing here through your arborist is going to work to save that tree. But it just seems to me like maybe there's a way, if I can get rid of that, for you to get a little more, green space around the edges of that bulb out around the tree, and because you're already mounting anyway. When that truck, so that would be my suggestion. You don't have to change the footprint of the building, but since you're already mounting this curb, maybe that's almost a 30% increase in impervious area because the driveway below is paved. Obviously, that tree, and it's great that this is presumably landscaped, so it's going to bring water in that isn't there now, right?
Yep.
So I think it's good, and those tree roots are definitely out here. Probably in that backyard.
Oh, yeah.
I don't, it's probably, who knows where that tree's getting water. There's a lot of pavement around it. But Might
I
be
mean,
a
the
drain line.
pavement's pretty broken. I mean, the
Broken.
pavement, have you been out and seen it?
Yeah,
I mean, the
it's
pavement's
lifted. I
come
mean,
down
it's
from
ancient,
the
and, you know, the gas station's probably from the 40s, so it's doubled in
50s, right?
50s, yeah.
50s.
So, I mean, yeah, it's grown a lot since 75 years.
The arborist mentioned it's one of 4 trees, 4 red oaks in the city.
Oh, no,
Of that
there's-
age.
Of that age? That seems unlikely.
No pressure on it.
It's big.
I measured the circumference at 11 and a half feet. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
It's an impressive tree.
It's awesome.
Certainly.
So, good job. And, you know, it's amazing everybody before didn't see that, because that tree isn't new. So, thank you, Mike, and at least for me, I think it's a step in the right direction. I just ask you to maybe push the lines a little bit further.
I'm not sure which lines you're looking at, and but it might be also the overpass of the vehicle, not necessarily the tires. So I don't know what,
Well, the green is the smoothing out of, moving the lines.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
if you can do it, do as much as you can, yeah.
Yeah, I actually, on this side, Nick,
Yep. On the
I was
Cabot
trying to
Street
give
side.
the Cabot Street guy the opportunity for the driver to swing in as far as he can in case someone was trying to get out, so he didn't have to make that turn as
I
early.
think I get it, and I would probably take some of that back and let them figure it out. Let them think. Otherwise, I didn't see any.
I just had a question about the landscaping. What else are you going to do in the front? Are those new trees, or is that planters? Or do you
So
not know
the
yet?
4 trees that are shown are actually part of the, part of the Islington Street project. We have not yet engaged with a landscape architect. Wanted to get through the BOA and get into the technical issues as far as this layout, and now we're going to start working with a landscape architect.
Okay. And my other question was, maybe Dave or Eric know, I see the brick sidewalk. Is this part of the
That-
whole corridor?
yeah,
sidewalk?
that's all part of that
Brick?
corridor.
Okay, all right.
It's just the ribbon along the
It's a concrete
street.
sidewalk with a brick accent.
So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just a.
so Dave, I did notice on the Islington Street plans, they're still showing, my plan showed the 4 trees in the earlier version. They actually show the entrance onto Islington Street to the right of the pumps.
Oh, the one that's closed off.
Yeah. I don't know if
Well, this is what we're going to want.
We will certainly work with you guys
Yeah.
to make whatever
Yeah.
makes the most
You
sense.
got it right.
well, like, I may have it right, but it's not what's on the bid lines.
No, but he's just answered you.
Yeah. Eric?
So, my concern is with the turning templates. I mean, it looks like fairly small delivery truck or a small trash truck. What if they're different sizes? It looks very tight getting through there, and if you don't have that small of a vehicle, it's going to create problems. I mean,
I agree. And they're going to have to work that out if, you know. I also had thought about doing some sort of, you know, the area where it's tight is obviously on the left side as you're making that first pass, and then up near the tree. And, you know, I thought maybe if I needed to, I could do some mountable curb on that landscape island to kind of swing them back down a little bit if they needed to, with some cobbles or something.
I'm just wondering if you get a bigger truck and they're just not even going to try it, you know, how are they going to get out? They'll just need to
We,
pull in and back out or something.
that, they would have to. I mean, or multi-point turn is that we did put some larger templates on, and this is what I ended up with. And this is the compromise of this project, is that I can make that work a lot better, and I'm going to lose that tree. So I tried to find the best way I could.
I mean, worst comes to worst, they park on Cabot Street. And it's not that big of a ROM. It's going to be in early mornings. You know, deliveries. These are all Were they back in and out?
Yeah.
Yeah, they back out. That's the reality. It can't be any worse than some other sites in that corridor.
No,
That's what you're just saying.
got more options.
And we don't have a drive-up window.
Which is great.
So are you going to be applying for the additional conditional use permits for the outdoor dining and the parking?
What's that?
Are you going to be applying for the conditional use permit for parking as well?
Yes, that will be part of our application.
We need to review the traffic demand analysis
Yeah.
for TAG, so that,
Those are for motorcycle mopeds.
So two-way traffic will be allowed with that, the Islington driveway?
It,
I mean,
I'm not going to put a do not exit on there. We will have our own arrows, but for the people that, we're going to show those arrows, but for the people that live there, they have the right to exit out. I don't want them going around our site because they don't have that easement.
yeah. And I'm thinking those 5 moped or motorcycle parking spaces, in reality, they're probably just going to go right out on Islington.
Yeah.
Quite possible.
Yeah.
You know those e-bike riders.
They're awful.
3 of them right there.
There's going to be an A2 use,
A what?
an A2 use, well, reach an assembly,
I believe so, yeah.
so any new A2 in Portsmouth requires a sprinkler system.
I'll have the architect get in touch with you on that. I didn't think that they needed the sprinkler, but we'll confirm.
By the local ordinance, they do.
Okay.
If they hit an occupant load of 50.
There's a lot of people in line for bagels.
On the diagram, we have 7 parking spaces labeled, but it's really only 6. The last one is the access aisle for the handicap spot.
So it was 6, and then it went to 7 because I was going to try to capture a little bit more space where the grease trap is, and then I decided to make it more green space there, so I never...
So it's 6.
6.
It's okay, you can say it. It's fine.
That's why I'm in TAC work session.
All right, well, I'll check my construction plans from Cabot Street and see if there's actually a sewer lateral there.
Okay.
I just don't recall it being there. I recall them all going into that awful line out back, so.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. I appreciate your time. I'm not going far.
We take public comment or not?
next, we have 147 Congress Street.
These chairs are more comfortable.
You're doing good.
Good. How you doing?
See you.
Good to see you.
I'm back. Eric Weinberg with Altus Engineering. I'm Sarah Howard with Market Square and Mike Labrie, the owner of the property. And it's the former health food store, Durham Bank site. Can't remember what it was before that. Ranger Club.
Yeah, the Danger Club.
And what we're proposing to do is small addition on beautification project along the Maplewood side, some canopy on the Congress Street and the Worth Lot parking side. And new emergency egress on Maplewood Ave. And they're right now working on putting in new water services on the building to provide a sprinkler and I believe a new domestic water at the same time. From a site standpoint, that's really the whole project. We have reached out to Nick. We haven't heard back.
Oh, on what, the canopy?
Yeah.
So what's the question? Ask me again. I was trying to figure that out today.
So the way civil engineers interpret the zoning ordinance is
Usually the
that,
wrong way, yeah.
so it's probably wrong, right?
Go ahead.
Is that any canopy or overhang greater than 2 feet is considered building coverage. And because it's
Could be.
because it's building coverage, it can't be counted as open space, and also, if it's less than 5 feet wide, it can't be considered as open space, which we went on the previous application through a lot of painstaking calculations to determine what areas can be calculated. So we don't meet the open space requirement, and so
How did you meet it before? I don't refresh my memory on, so is the added canopy the piece behind the building on the Worth lot? Is that the one that got added by HDC?
So we had a smaller canopy there
Yeah,
originally
right.
that complied with our open space
Open space or your coverage?
Open space.
So how did your open space, let's start with that.
Okay.
How did your open space before meet the 5%?
the walkways can be considered.
Only 50% of the walkways can be, only 50% of the open space has to be pervious, has to be green. So, and it has to meet the certain dimensional requirements of the 5 feet or more, right? So we allowed, the definition of open space is that it be predominantly open to the sky and pervious, not sidewalk or hardscape. So what we've been doing for at least the 10 or 11 years I've been here is allowing applicants to provide 51% green and 49% hardscape, and it would count as open space. So when I look at the plan here, and I was trying to figure out today how to answer the question I didn't fully understand, and it's my fault running around, is that this green space on Maplewood doesn't meet the minimum dimensions.
Not at all.
So where is any green
Well,
to
that's, so, going
Yeah.
back, we weren't involved until it was down in the HDC process for a while. We were catching up, and this came up as an issue. Frankly, we didn't catch the 51% being green.
It's not obvious. It says predominantly, and we've taken that to be 51-49, in fairness to you folks on that side.
So what we wanted to do is come here, talk
Yeah.
about site issues,
Yep.
and then deal with open space directly with you, and we didn't have that opportunity.
Okay, yeah.
Ever
And
came-
that's my fault. I saw that you reached out.
Absolutely.
So I have put some thought into this.
Okay.
And my gut reaction is, in just looking at this today and preparing for the meeting, I don't see any way for you to get it on the ground, that 160 square feet with, not easily, maybe there's a way, and you've already thought about it, and meet the minimum dimensional requirements, which disqualify that entire, whatever, 80 or 90 square feet that's already there. What I'd like to see if we can do to avoid the need for any relief is some kind of roof green system on the roof, 160 square feet on the roof, in order to meet the intent of the open space requirement. It's creative, but I think if we can find a way to do that, and you could put something above the building, maybe it's on the new section, planters green. You're hearing from me, at least as an opinion of one, to do what we can to avoid you needing to get relief for something that looks difficult to solve without making the footprint smaller
Yeah.
of your addition, which is not, it's already small and expensive. So
Correct.
That make semi-sense?
Yeah, it does. I guess if it was going to be green, I mean, we'd love to see green roofs in more projects, so that's a positive side. It probably, to meet the open space piece, it'd probably have to be some kind of access for somebody.
Well, no, it does not have to be
Doesn't have to
publicly
be public
accessible
access.
for
Not
open
public,
space.
no, but even for the, have to be maintained.
May have to be maintained,
Would have-
and it doesn't have to be the whole roof, I think
Right,
we're
it doesn't
looking,
have to be.
we're looking for something that passes the sniff test, if possible, to avoid needing to get relief or change the footprint of the building.
Is the cover over the totes, is that
That wouldn't.
in place?
Wouldn't help anyway. It wouldn't help. You don't have a cover, I didn't see that you have a coverage
No, I
problem. You have an open space
That's still
problem.
hardscape.
You're allowed 95% coverage. So you are well below 95% coverage, even with those canopies, because this is uncovered,
Right, yeah.
right? And that's uncovered. So I think you're good on coverage. It's trying to get the 160 square feet of green space. And
5 feet wide.
yeah, so maybe we can do something
So
along the
that-
edge of the roof. Figure it out.
Yeah.
That's the best I can do for you
So-
on the fly.
Showing totes here. But
Okay.
he is asking them.
So then
that's
it's
what
not
5
about the
feet.
curved canopy portion
No.
that we're stipulated to in the HDC.
It doesn't,
It's really just.
unless that,
green.
and if that was green underneath it, then I'd have no problem with it, because it's open, right? Even though it does say land area open to the sky, that would be close
Pervious-
enough.
Pervious paving doesn't count as green space, as open space?
No, we put,
I mean,
look, we'll look at anything, but.
Could it be on the existing roof?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because the lot needs, it's only 100, it's one parking space for a
But is it
compact car.
visible to the public?
It doesn't matter. I don't think it really matters if it's visible, usable.
It's easy.
You could have that in the middle of a donut hole in a building and no one would ever see it or get to it and it
Right,
would
but it still
count.
counts,
So the
yeah.
question about the totes, Nick,
Yeah, sorry, the
That's
totes are
these back
different,
here.
yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
but they're different?
No, that's not an open space.
No.
Not now, but if it changed.
Paying attention.
You mean if the totes
Use
went
that
somewhere
area,
else?
yeah. if they
Crossing
use
the
that
police
area
world,
for
I'm here.
open space.
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple ways to potentially solve this, but,
Correct,
yeah.
correct.
So you're right in that respect. If there's another spot to put the totes,
So maybe we have a meeting.
a
A
sidebar.
sidebar, yeah.
I guess, so from a tax standpoint, do you guys have any issues with this project?
Yeah.
What's the width of the concrete egress?
Where?
Okay, here? Does that meet the
Yeah,
egress?
we
width?
have a 4 foot deep by the width of the stairs, which is a minimum of 3'8". So we do comply with the landing requirements at the bottom of the stairs.
And then when you make the left turn to get to the actual public way, is that width comply with the egress width as well?
Yeah.
To your back door.
It will.
It's brick to here right now,
Oh, you mean,
to your back door, along your addition.
We're presuming, Dave, that that sidewalk would get replaced through the construction? Because your foundation right up to the sidewalk.
Yeah, we would ask the applicant to replace it in brick.
I'm sure it's going to be,
Okay, replace. Mike,
Once he's
did
done
you hear
talking,
that?
Nick.
No, he didn't.
It was side
Then I'll ignore it, then
conversations.
you don't have to hear it.
It'll be a surprise, Bill.
Because the foundation is right up to the Maplewood Ave sidewalk. Most likely, the whole thing would get disturbed through the construction. Because we're in the downtown area, that'll have to be replaced with brick.
That's hilarious.
who's that, Dave?
Yeah.
Yes,
Dave
it's
do
Dave.
that?
That's what we were doing over here while you were talking. Nice. We think alike. Once in a while.
So it just got removed from my consideration.
Yeah, right? He was willing to consider it in my conversation, but you made it so.
No, I asked for it very nicely.
Yeah.
You just didn't hear it because you were talking to Nick.
All right.
Thank you, David.
Does the city have any leftover bricks?
I'm sure you want the ones that are left over.
Traffic issues?
Not proposing to do anything in the Worth lot, right? Those three spaces.
Second decker of parking.
All right.
A little addition.
Wetland issues, Peter?
No construction back there though, right?
No.
No.
planning on resurfacing that lot this summer.
So, new interior grease trap, right?
It will be new, yeah.
Interior,
Interior, like the one that next door.
yeah.
Okay. And then for consideration, we would request that you consider a sidewalk easement so that we can save the tree. Just over the area that's
In the
shown.
front, you
purple.
mean?
Yeah, yeah. So that we can continue to do what's already going on.
Right.
Yeah, and that's one reason why I didn't try to capture that space. You can still
Walk around.
pass, right, pass as you are currently able to.
It's nice to be able to have those trees, but. So it's a request. Thank you.
Now, am I able to take care of that little plot?
Which plot?
The tree and the planter?
Planter there?
Are you asking if you can plant additional
If I can
vegetation
make it look
in there?
nicer? Yes, additional, make it nice.
You can have it as an adoptive spot if you want.
Yeah, that's probably the way to do it.
I mean, the Jimmy's, I replaced the tree that behind that was not happy, so might do the same thing there.
Okay.
What are the proposed uses in the building? Is it similar?
We have a Thai restaurant going in. On the street level, we have 3 tenants. Contemporary art gallery going in, closest to
Nick?
the east.
Oh.
And a woman's clothing shop, and then a Thai restaurant. That whole new addition will be a dining room for the Thai restaurant, and then their kitchen and ordering area will be in the top left of this particular plan. And then we'll continue with the new age medical providers, that are operating on the second floor. And then on the lower level, we are creating about maybe 2,000 square feet that will be available for lease. And I don't know exactly who's going to end up in there, but we're putting sprinklers and everything we need to in order to not be limited as to the use too much down there.
Right. Club Spin lives again.
Well, classroom, or could even be retail or something. Could be a Club Spin, that wouldn't be bad, actually.
No.
Cycle,
Yeah, it would actually.
place called Club Spin, that wouldn't be
It
bad.
wouldn't be terrible. That kind of street on that.
That would be very funny.
Would be
Kind of funny, ironic.
how-
You get your fingers caught in the spokes, it'd be the danger club again.
Well, the reason I asked for the land use is just a comparison to what was there. As far as traffic generation, if you can prepare a memo, showing existing uses, proposed uses, and what the difference in trip generation would be.
Yeah. Yeah, the health food store was pretty busy.
Yep.
Losing that exit from the basement is contingent on the project that's going on now, which adds an exit from the basement.
I'm sorry?
The project that you are in the permitting process for already adds an exit from the basement on the Congress Street side.
Yeah, there was one, but it was not a very good one. I assume that the club put that in to be able to do what they did.
The one on the side of the building is
Like
going
AJ's.
away with
That's
this.
going away, yeah. Yeah, the new access to the basement will be nice. It'll be Congress Street facing, and
Any other comments? Any other questions, or?
I'm out of questions.
All right,
Great.
thanks.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks.
Is there any particular color of those bricks, Dave? Yellow?
Yellow Brick Road.
The yellow are a little expensive, aren't they?
Well, we know where we can get them from Virginia.
Well, yeah, you know where you can get them now, but they're pricey.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have 765 Middle Street. You again?
Me again.
Still.
And I thought Mr. Sinclair was going to be here today with me, but I believe he may be flying. He's a pilot, and actually hadn't been flying much lately, but he's getting back at it. So this is tax map 148, lot 37. It's on the corner of Lincoln and Middle. Quite some time. It was 2 parcels at one time, and they were merged, and they could not be unmerged because there was a pool constructed on the parcel, so it means they were developed, so it cannot be, unmerged by natural action or what is it, involuntary merger process. So what we're proposing to do is, there's an existing single-family residence on the property. It's a very prominent house on the corner of Lincoln and Middle. There's a very prominent carriage house that has 2 apartments in it, and Mr. Sinclair is proposing to construct a 3rd building, multi-car, 3-bay plus garage with an apartment above and some workout and home office space in the 2nd floor. Last month, we received variances to allow the project to proceed. There was a side yard variance and a density variance to allow the 4th dwelling unit on the property. So we're proposing to utilize the existing driveway off of Lincoln and reconstruct a driveway with pavers. Portion of the pavers will most likely be permeable to allow us to infiltrate some of the drainage that we're creating with the new hardscape of the building and other surfaces on the property. There's existing sewer stubs and a water service that was provided with the Lincoln Street utility infrastructure that was done about, 5 years ago? Longer, 10? I'm losing track.
Longer than that.
Is
Yep.
it? Oh, my God. And the...
It's undersized, by the way.
What's that?
It's undersized, by the way.
Yeah. On my side?
Undersized.
Undersized, okay.
No, it's not on your side.
Losing my hearing, too.
Hear that a lot.
Yeah. What?
The existing house has a sewer service that connects into the service that services the carriage house, and that, according to Mr. Sinclair, is a clay service. And what we're going to do is come off that stub with the new service for the apartment behind and put a new service in for the main house off of that. So we'll have a Y service in, feed both new buildings, and then we'll keep the carriage house on the same service. We'll do a new water line coming from the single-family residence to the back of the property. You want an individual now?
No, actually, it's only one water service per lot, and both of them that you have are both undersized.
So we want all new water. Okay.
Right. And then
One
you're gonna have to-
service.
And then you're going to have to daisy chain them.
You may need a suppression line as well.
Okay. We haven't dug too deep into the stormwater management aspects. We will have stone drip edges on the back side, and on the driveway side, some sort of gutter system leading into an infiltration system, whether it's under the pavement or some dry well or rain gardens on the surface. And that's a pretty simple little project, but looking for your input.
Were you involved with the variance application?
Yes.
How'd you do it? It says you got a restaurant use here.
It's
It's impressive.
Well,
Your first note has a restaurant use. I'm sure that's from another project, but
that's probably it.
it's good. You're keeping us awake.
So Eric, just so you're aware, if you need to count all the cumulative disturbance on the property for all these different uses, and if you go over 15,000 square feet, you'll need to provide the enhanced treatment.
Okay.
PTAP
Yeah.
and PTAP reporting too? Right.
Right, which seems a little crazy on a residential lot, but
Well, it's
it is what it is.
how many units?
Eric, I sense a trend here. It looks like the notes say there's 7 parking spaces and you show 6. Is there a 7th one buried
Well,
somewhere?
if you take off that big old sticky note in the middle of the plan,
Oh, where's that? Yep. Oh, there's one there?
right now, I can't.
Well, can you back out of those? Do they meet the dimensional?
This, there's,
That-
could be a
that's
space under
not-
there, right?
That's a
No, he
deck.
means behind the house, I think.
There's 3, and then there's actually,
Yeah.
right there is a room for another.
This is quite odd. I don't have that file. What?
So the question is
It's the
whether
second time that
that
happened.
works, but you don't need it anyway.
You have that in
So
yours?
I think just change it to 6
Yeah?
up
Okay.
above, and then you're not haggling
I don't
over
have
it.
that. It's really
So
weird.
those parking spaces in the garage, are those, who do those belong to?
To be determined, but most likely it would be the owner of the property. If they're not, well, it'd be the owner and then the
The unit upstairs.
tenant.
So if they don't all belong in the new structure to that unit, then you will need a sprinkler system in that building. And is the intention to have 3 separated garage spaces?
I don't know, but I presume as such.
It would probably simplify things. If you have if they're for more than one dwelling unit, then you need to get you need to have carbon monoxide detection and ventilation systems, and it gets
Backup
complicated.
generators,
All stuff you want to
the
avoid.
list goes on and on and on.
We still make it affordable.
Eric, if you could add the building footprint areas to those 3 structures, that would help with the coverage, given how close you are.
Yep.
So you're going to cut the edge of pavement back, right? Which is great.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And we'll get a landscape plan, obviously, to show it.
Robbie Woodburn is working on it.
Great.
And she did some renderings for the BOA application with Tanagram, but I just felt that for this, it
Nope,
was,
it's good. And you're removing the
Second driveway?
between the structures, right?
Oh, that's not where you go.
Oh, what?
there is a
I thought you were gonna say second
curb
driveway.
cut, but we're
Right.
not touching that.
But you're removing it.
Yeah, why don't you get rid of it?
We certainly can.
I
if
think you
that's-
should get rid of it.
Thanks.
Dave thinks that. I agree with him.
Second time today. We're on a roll.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't know.
Right here.
This one?
Yeah. It's abandoned, kind of.
Dave, any other?
Nope.
When you get rid of the driveway, I'd put a tree there.
I
The
don't,
tree next to it.
A red oak.
Tree out on the street.
Yeah, where,
Yeah, well,
That's where the sewer is.
That
in the
row.
right of way, not along the.
no, in the right of way.
And the right over the other 3 are.
That's where the sewer is.
4.
Well,
Oh,
isn't
the
the
sewer's-
sewer everywhere else?
No.
Okay, well, let's see.
It crosses?
Where can it go, Dave?
There's a bunch of utilities right in that area.
Well, then, water, sewer. All right. I give.
And I guess because we're going to be coming in with new water service, they'll have to get dug up anyway, so that makes sense.
Yeah, we could get a tree somewhere, it'd be nice. Somewhere between the proposed curb cut.
Are you not seeing all the trees over the other side of the property line?
I am.
Already loaded with trees.
Are they really big?
Some of them are quite nice.
Well, nice and big are different.
Oh, I see.
Oh. He's here. We were on early. Come on up.
There's quite a few mature trees in the area.
Yeah, you looking at Street View?
David Sinclair, applicant. We're almost done, but,
Are you really?
oh yeah, we started early.
Oh, okay.
I said you were flying. You're not.
No. You said 3:15, so I said, okay, we'll be at 3:05.
So what's come up is that they would like that second curb cut removed in its entirety.
Sure.
And Nick would like to see a tree planted there. And the water service for the whole property is undersized, so we're going to come in with a new
Cool.
water service for the whole site.
Great.
And
Carriage house is already separated on its own shut-off valve.
so, Dave, does that need to be,
I don't know. It's above my pay grade. General rule is one water service per lot.
Yeah, we separated it probably 5 years ago, and then the rule was 1 meter per
Right.
building.
You can do that if it's a condo. If it's all in common ownership, it's not allowed.
The carriage house has a 1-inch pipe right now.
Okay. The plan says 3/4 inch. But
okay.
maybe it's 3/4 inch out in the street. I don't know.
So the tree at the curb cut, looks like there's 2 right on either side of the...
They want the tree in the right-of-way, so
If it makes sense.
Oh, I see, on the...
If it doesn't make sense,
On top of the
because
sewer.
there's
Sidewalk
big
on
stuff
that.
behind it.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's going to be underneath
Put
the
it in the
overhang,
sewer.
but that's fine.
Any other comments or questions of David?
Just a reminder on the suppression for the,
Yes, maybe you want to go over, so are the garage bays going to be individually partitioned off? And who will be using them because it has a impact on sprinklers?
And ventilation. And backup generators.
Backup generators?
yeah. So dividing them would avoid the ventilation, CO monitoring and all that. The use
If they're not-
of
if the
it
whole garage is-
is what would drive the suppression system.
So there would be 2 interior walls, if that answers the question. So there'd be 3 bays.
Right. Yep.
The one on the south, it's marked as 3, I believe, would be the resident above. And 1 and 2 would be the main house, our house use. So there'd be 2 different uses.
So 1 and 2 could be together.
So that would, the building would need to be sprinkled, because it would not be a non-separated 1 or 2 family, it would be a mixed-use storage in residential.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say, judging by the street view, unless you've cut these trees down, they're pretty big behind the right-of-way. You don't need more trees.
Thank you.
Taking 1 away. Right?
Love to get rid of one of those
Oh, here we go.
and then put 1 on the right of way, but.
Okay.
All right, you all set?
I think I'm all set. Any piece of advice for us? Okay, thank you. Appreciate your
Fastest
time.
meeting I've ever been to.
That's the last one. Yep.
What is that?
All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
Oh, that's so funny.
Yes.
It looks like a Corvette.
Second?
doesn't it?
Yours?
No, this is so old. Yeah.
All right, we're adjourned.
Wait, where was that?